So today we're doing our product update webinar for our regular Pressbooks. Appreciate the change. We had to change the date. We had some vacations and conferences we were attending, so it was a bit hard for us to make that time last week. So we do want to review a few things. One is we're going to talk about the content toolkit, which I know some of you have been trying out. We want to chat about some of the updates that have happened through our Accessibility Assist author tool because we've been listening to a lot of feedback, and I think you'll be happy to hear a lot of the updates that have happened. We're also going to share a little bit more about the network book scanner. John's going to talk to us about the free trial for everyone who's here, but also that free trial does end March 9th. So if you have questions about that, we're here to answer those questions. We do have some requests for some surveys that we'll also chat about. Also, and we're going to share an exciting new update. We have some new languages for the Pressbooks Directory, which our colleague Oscar is going to share with us. We're very excited about that. Client and user research opportunities, some upcoming training webinars, conferences and events, and as always, an opportunity for you to share what's happening in your world with Pressbooks. Also, happy Open Education Week. So thanks for joining us on this big week. So I'm going to pass it over to Steele to chat with us a little bit about what's been happening with the additions and changes.
Thanks. I think everybody probably who's here has probably heard before, but earlier in last month, we released a full trial of a new suite of tools that we call the Pressbooks Content Toolkit. And the purpose of these tools is to make it easier for publishers, as in network managers, and authors to make sure that your content is ready to publish and to share, and that it's as accessible and inclusive as possible. So it has many components, and they can be a little bit confusing, but once you see them and use them, they make a bit more sense. The first thing are kind of two components that work together that are really focused on accessibility. These are author or book admin focused. One of them we call the Accessibility Assist Author Tool, and the other is called the Accessibility Assist Scanner Tool. These are both powered by an open source tool called Editorially. And what it does is it allows authors, as they're creating content and working through the book, to find and now automatically fix accessibility issues. There's a scanner tool so that instead of working chapter by chapter, you can press a button and it will scan your whole book. And that's currently available in the trial, and hundreds of people have been using that and hopefully having good experiences, especially as people in the United States are coming up onto the new compliance date for the Americans with Disability Act rule from the DOJ. Another piece and component that's new is a link checker. And the link checker will scan your entire book and look for all of the links in the book. And then it tries to detect any issues with those links, whether it couldn't be reached because permission was needed or the link was broken. And it gives you a report with all of the links that it couldn't reach that have issues. And then the idea is that it makes it easier for you to find and fix and update those links. The third, or I guess fourth component is a tool that exists for network managers, and that's called the Network Book Scanner. And what that does is it lets network managers see all of the books on their network, perform bulk scans for multiple books for both accessibility and links, and also see when the last scan was performed and what other information. So that's all on everybody's network right now, and people are actively using that. And what I'll share are some updates for things that have happened over the last month to make these products better since the free trial has started.
Steele, before we go to the next slide,
Sure.
Linda just has a question. Can book authors or book editors use these tools or just book admins?
Great question. So I believe that the Accessibility Assist tool is available to everybody that has editing capability in a chapter. And I believe that it's editors and admins who can see the full dashboard and do the scans. I don't think authors, the people with the role of author can, but for the Pressbooks roles, that's my understanding. For the Accessibility Assist, the author tool, what it does is on the right-hand pane of the slide right now, you're seeing a sample pop up. So there's a tooltip, and the tooltips can be toggled on or off if you don't want to see them. But while you're working in the visual editor, this is a sample tooltip. There's an image that has no alt text. This is a common accessibility problem, unfortunately. People add images, but they don't add alt text. And alt text is really important because it lets people that are using screen readers or other assistive technology or have low vision hear a description of what the image is so they don't miss important information. Well, previously, you could simply learn about what an alt text was and then mark it as ignored or mark it as okay, but you couldn't actually fix it from the tooltip. And so just earlier in the last month, we've released several buttons right there in the tooltip that will let you directly fix a whole bunch of common issues. So for example, if you have empty headings or empty links, you can now click a button and fix them instantly. If you have a link that's opening in a new tab or new window and you don't want to do that, you can fix it instantly by clicking a button. If you have lists that look like lists but aren't really formatted like lists, you can fix it with the button. If you aren't doing headings in the correct order, you can fix it with the button. If you don't have adequate or you have missing alt text, you can fix it by clicking this button and then providing the alt text and having it added to the visual editor directly. So there's about a dozen of these quick fixes that we made. They're all now possible from the tooltips by clicking the fix button and taking whatever action there is to take. I didn't describe all of them, but users who are using the tool will now see them and should be able to use them. And we think that's the number one thing people were asking for, and we're really pleased that we were able to ship and deliver that. So the network book scanner is the network level tool that lets network managers do this. I talked about that briefly earlier. The big changes were changes actually that Kate suggested last time. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see there's two things that have been changed. Here in the title column, you can always see the title of the book and go to the book dashboard. But underneath the title, we're now printing the URL. And this is important because sometimes you want to see the URL of the book to know which book. Sometimes you have similar or the same titles. And when you search, the search will also search for titles as well as URLs. Sometimes you want to see all 5 books that share the spring 2026 string in their URL. So searching will now pick up titles and URLs. Another change that was made was we added a new column, which was the date last edited. This is valuable or important because sometimes you want to compare the date you last did an accessibility scan to the date the book was last edited. So Kate suggested this in our last product update, and now it exists. It's there, folks. So thank you for suggesting those things, and we're glad to have made them. The things that we want people to know, the trial is continuing all through Open Education Week into next week. And if you have used any one of these tools, we want to hear from you. We want your feedback. We're going to continue to make improvements. And so Michelle and I have been collecting that feedback, and there are 3 surveys. So what I will do in just a second is I will paste the links for those into the chat. But if you've used any one of these tools or all of them, we would love it if you or your colleagues would reply to these surveys. They take, 10 minutes to complete. But if you have any feedback for what you want, what you need, what would help you use these tools more effectively or accomplish your goals, we want to know what they are. So please let us know, and then we can respond appropriately. So that's the high level overview of what's happened and what will be happening. I'll pass it over to John to answer some of the other questions that came up in the chat.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of pricing, that's one of the questions that came up from Amy. And our pricing for the whole content toolkit, here we go. The whole content toolkit, these are the price bands. So it does depend because of the scanner tools and the link checker on the number of books on the network, the number of active books on the network, and we can prorate that cost and add it to your next renewal. And so, if you want to get a quote specifically on your network, please reach out to myself or Darren, the account managers, and or just directly to sales@pressbooks.com. If you don't know who your account manager is, we'll happily get you a quote and let you know what that entails at your renewal. So the free trial is going on right now through Open Ed Week and through all the way through March 8th. And on March 9th, we will be shutting down that free trial and turning off all parts of the content toolkit unless you have connected with us already. We're keeping track of who's contacted us and who wants to keep it on. And also, the Accessibility Assist author tool is going to be on if you have previously subscribed to that. So we'll keep that on. Um, if you don't let us know before Monday, but you do want to add it in the network integrations tab on your network homepage, you'll see that you are able to see if it is active, what plugins are active on the network for the content toolkit. And if you want to connect with us, you can request activation once if you're waiting for um, uh, getting approval to add that to your network, you can reach out to us there. But again, connect with Darren or myself, and we're happy to enable that and extend the free trial if you're waiting a short period for approval to get that. We want as many people using this tool as possible, and if it does get turned off, it's easy to enable it again, and you'll have access to the reports that are saved.
So this is what John was describing. If you are in your network, if you're a network manager and you go to integrations, network integrations, and come down to the content toolkit section, you'll be able to see the activation status after the trial ends. And for example, if you only had Accessibility Assist on and didn't have the toolkit, you would see a not active indicator, and you'd be able to request activation or talk with your account manager, and we'd be happy to set that up or be contacted about any questions you have for it.
So I'm going to pass it over to our colleague Oscar to share a little bit about what's new here.
So yeah, so as part of our translation support, we implemented and we deliver like this feature that you will find here. Like you have available here like a drop down that will enable 3 languages right now. So we are supporting Espanol and French. So we are working currently on also metadata improvements, but as you can see here now, the directory UI is being translated. So now you can have navigate the directory in your preferred language here. So you can also do the demo here in Spanish or French, and all of the UI it's being translated here. So you can even search, do all of the stuff that you are used to do on the directory, but now available in Spanish, French, and English. So that's it. I don't know if
Great.
anyone wants to add something about this.
Yeah, any questions or comments? We're pretty excited about that here at Pressbooks. So it was great work on the team's effort. Something else I'll share about some translation work is we are currently working on translating the Pressbooks user guide into French. And so stay tuned for an expected release date on that. We're excited to also welcome that. So a few things regarding some user research we're looking at. One is we are doing some product discovery on micro-credentials style learning. So we are interested in looking at how to provide a platform for short-form learning courses. And we're currently working on a prototype project with Maricopa Community College District on this. If you or you know of someone who works in the area of micro-credentials or interested in talking about how the look and feel of this might be or how you deliver micro-credential programs, we'd love to chat with you. And you can send me an email at amanda@pressbooks.com. In terms of webinars, events, and conferences, we do have some exciting events coming up. We've got our regular webinars which are free for end users, creating engaging learning materials, preparing your book for publication and distribution, and getting started with Pressbooks. So if you have folks at your institutions who would benefit from attending these, please do share it widely. We'd love to be of assistance. And then in terms of some conferences where you'll see Pressbooks in the next little bit, we are working this week on a lot of open education events. So you might see Pressbooks scattered throughout the week. We are presenting at the Northeast OER Summit, so we're excited about a couple of presentations we'll be doing there. We have a webinar coming up March 26th, which is called Pressbooks Around the World. And what we're doing is meeting with folks from Switzerland, from the Netherlands and Ireland to chat about how they are using Pressbooks and their infrastructure. One of the use cases is actually a self-hosted option. So if you're interested in that, we'd love to have you attend. And then lastly, at the end of the month, we will be at the UKSG annual conference, which is in Glasgow, Scotland. If you are going to be there or have any collaborations or partnerships there, let us know. We'd love to see you in person. Now that we've sort of shared our updates, we always love hearing back from all of you in terms of what it is that you're working on. Is there anything project-wise that's of interest? Do you have any topics that are particularly of interest? Do you have questions about some of the work we just shared? Yeah, love to hear from all of you.
Hi, I have, well, okay, so in terms of what we're doing right now, I think as long as with everyone else, we're in the midst of accessibility drama, because it's challenging, obviously. But I did have a question, and I think we've probably submitted this because we're well known at Pressbooks for submitting questions. And that is one of the things that's tricky for us is because the way we handle publications, we're probably a little bit more, how shall I put it, anal than other people. And like we are control freaks here at Oregon State. And we have discovered that when we want to, when we have faculty who want to update their current OER Pressbooks, we can't easily export it into Word anymore. Apparently there was some problem with the export and it just kind of vanished. So I was wondering if we could put in a plug for that, because obviously when we have a Pressbooks, you know, if there's a typo or a quick change, we just go into the Pressbooks backend and fix that. But then we don't have a current manuscript version of the book that we can share with the faculty author who can then go in and, you know, make their updates, because we don't actually let our authors into the backend. And like I said, we're a little, you know, control freaky that way. Anyway, I just wanted to ask about that because it sort of disappeared and it was like, oh, okay, well that's going to be a bit of a problem. EPUB and then Pandoc. Oh, okay, now that might work. It does become a little tricky doing that when you have a book with a lot of footnotes.
Yeah. You're right, Stephanie. It is frustrating that rather than doing the EPUB, you can do the EPUB, but I think you'll have a better experience producing the XHTML export. It's the whole book as one XHTML file, and then that can be opened in Word or in Google Docs quite easily, and it will generally retain the structure and the kind of key pieces that you want. But you're right, not having the Word export is frustrating for a lot of people, and I think we've been having some internal conversations about some better tools for Google Docs and Word import export. I don't know when that's coming. It probably is going to be a big development project that might need some contract funding or something like that. But yeah, those are the internal conversations we've had, and we're sorry, it is frustrating. But the XHTML to Word should work.
I will test that and let you know. Thank you.
I see Rebecca Brown has a great comment in there. Just wrapped a short Pressbooks program in February at our college, and we're about to launch a spring program shortly. Rebecca, to put you on the spot a little bit, I'm curious, what do you mean by a Pressbooks program? Was it grant making sort of projects? Was it development or how to use Pressbooks? And if you don't want to jump on the Mike, you can always just type that in. I'd be curious.
Oh, I can jump in.
Oh,
Can you
great.
hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so it's the February program we did is training based. We've in the past done quarter-long Pressbooks cohort programs here where we kind of take folks from like the very basics of just how to use the Pressbooks directory all the way up to like creating a book. But given that a lot of folks really are focusing on accessibility and there's just a lot of other stuff going on right now, we were like, hey, let's just do a 3-week quick program that just gets people started with the directory and showing them how to clone and doing a little bit of a dive into Creative Commons licensing. So that's what we did in February. And then because we do have a good number of faculty who have started projects but haven't really had the chance to work extensively on them. That's what our spring program is going to be, is sort of a pitch your project. And we're going to give you a fair amount of support as well as a lot of independent work time and check-ins. And we'll see what kind of progress you can make on your Pressbook in spring.
That's great. Thank you.
Rebecca, I had a question. The program that you did, are any of the materials or the training resources you made available for sharing or adaptation by other folks? I'm guessing there's probably lots of institutions that would be curious to see that what you put together or to sort of remix it for their context if it was.
Yeah, at the moment, nothing is shared publicly, but a lot of it could be shared publicly. Like, I think I just licensed everything. I licensed the whole thing openly
Love
anyways.
it.
So, yeah, I think it's just been kind of figuring out like when do I have time to make just sort of some final revisions and then
Sure, sure.
where to put it publicly, if people are interested.
The answer to that the first part I can't answer for you, but the second part would be put it on our community forum. There's a space for network managers, and there's a resources channel. If you're not sure how to do that and don't want to do it, you can always just email it to me or to us, and we'd be happy to share it on your behalf too.
Great. Thank you.
We had a shout out here to Liz Thompson. If you wanted to share about the awards you're running, that would be cool.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'd love to share. It's kind of a new program. And last year was the first time we ran it. And all of the books I think were published on Pressbooks. Unsurprisingly, maybe, I don't know. But in Virginia, we were able to secure funding for a pilot program called the Virginia Open Educational Resources Impact Award. So it's like a book award for OER. And it's specifically for OER that authored by Virginia authors. But it's kind of slowly taking off, and we got a lot of responses last year, and so we're hoping to get a lot of responses again this year. And it's just been fun to be a part of, and because we don't celebrate, I don't think, our accomplishments as much as we should, this has been really rewarding. I'll share a link to last year's press release so you guys can get a feel for what it's like.
I love that. When I was at BC campus, we did Open Education Awards as well. And they were to folks in institutions that were doing great work in open. And then we would always CC their immediate supervisor, the VP academic, and then the president of the institution, so that they were also aware that an award had been given. So it was a great initiative.
Amanda, I see Amy on the call, and I was going to wonder, Amy, maybe people have already heard about it, but I still think about that petting zoo that you all did with your books. That's probably one of the most memorable encounters I've had with open education. Are you able to unmute and share a little bit about what that was and why you did it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks. Well, it's when there's some funding available in the statewide program budget. we'll divide it up among the 24 institutions and offer to order print copies of OER for folks. And we call it a petting zoo because it's just really effective to like give instructors a chance to be like, oh, it's a regular textbook. It doesn't have to be online. It can be in print at low cost. I'll share a link to our blog post about that.
And then there was a comment from
Lauren?
Lauren Ray about cleaning up. Anything you wanted to share? I think that's a topic of it's springtime, spring cleaning. Everybody's worried about this, thinking about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just it's been a like eye-opening process for us. We have a lot of books that have been created on our network that we were unaware of, and some like really wonderful discoveries there, and also a lot of kind of practice books that people started many years ago and maybe they've left or they haven't been edited or updated in a long time. So um, with notifying users about the accessibility tool and the deadline and getting a lot of replies like I'm on sabbatical or this email is no longer valid. It's been sort of a massive project to keep track of how to sort of like have workflows and processes for handling books that may never again have the same user, projects that we want to highlight, and projects that need deleting to free up storage space. So a big thing in that I think is like updating the language that we have in the email when people join our network so that there's more of a hey, if you leave the university, here's what you need to do with your book, and on sort of beyond April, how to have things in place that remind people of their responsibilities around their book. So would be interested if anybody else has that language or has worked on that, particularly at an institution where you use single sign-on, which kind of adds to the complexity of the user management. But yeah, that's what we're working on here.
Lauren, first of all, I hope you get a new contract. You deserve it. And then second, the you mentioned sending out communication emails about the content toolkit and the accessibility scanner. I think that's probably a topic. I know it's getting a bit late in the trial period, but what did you send to end users and why? And how did that go?
Yeah, so we've sent a couple of updates just about the accessibility checker tool, and then when we hear back from faculty with specific questions, we try to provide more information in the email with, we've gotten a few questions about this or that, or make sure you click through the book. And then we have offered so far to drop in office hours for faculty to work on remediating their books. And that's been really helpful to have to have sort of live time with admins. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of anything specific that's of note that's come up in that. But yeah, and then some interesting questions about accessibility checker tools in Canvas. If someone has their Pressbooks book embedded in Canvas, they might be seeing additional accessibility alerts. So fortunately, UW, we have pretty strong accessibility support. So for some of the more complex questions or questions that involve other tools, we can turn to those staff here at the university. But yeah, definitely recommend the office hours thing. It's helpful for, I think, getting instructors to work on their issues and better understand why doing this is important. So, yeah.
Lots of good links coming through. Thank you for that. Any other shares that you'd like to let us know about?
We haven't heard from Cheryl Casey or Jamie Holmes, and that's an anomaly. There's always something new happening for them. You got anything this month?
Uh, like Lauren, we are doing some drop-in hours, and last week I offered how to make your U of A Pressbook more accessible workshop. And so the session that Deal had done previously and other OEN colleagues adapted some of their materials. And I want to give a shout out to Mitch about responding to some questions specifically from some of our attendees, especially around there should only be one H1 directive. And they wanted to know, is that a best practice or is that WCAG 2.1 AA requirement? Because they like the way in Pressbooks that they call it an accordion. And so they were upset that it would affect all students if they changed that. And so anyway, we've been going back and forth. I think the way we're going to handle it is to keep the multiple H1s, but to put a note in an accessibility statement as to why they're doing that and what to expect for users who have screen readers. But just really appreciate the support from Pressbooks and answering questions.
If I may, I will say something about that, right? Just quickly, because so thank you first, Cheryl, but also I just want to say this is something that we are aware of, that this is an issue, and are spending time thinking about what is the best way to change it, because it has major repercussions on every book, on every network, if we change that, because it's like part of the structure of how books are structured. But it is something that we want to think about carefully. What is the best way to improve the practice here and make it easy for authors to follow best practice without losing access to key features like the two-level table of contents. And so it takes a bit of time, but it is on our radar. So I just wanted to ensure you that this is something we're thinking about. And hopefully at one point we will have an idea how to solve this issue without disrupting everyone's workflow or creating new issues.
I would just echo exactly what Mitch said, which is for this specific issue, and not everyone may be familiar with it, so maybe I'll zoom back out. That many, many years ago, so this is part of the joys of having a legacy software platform, but in 2018 or whatever, the new HTML spec came out. And at the time, the idea was documents could have multiple H1s, heading ones, and it'd be great. And browsers would support it. And you could have multiple H1s, and each would indicate the start of a new section in a document. Well, it turns out that the browser community, the internet community, just didn't really ever do that. And the reality now is the recommendation of best practices generally one H1 per document. Well, that's not what is the case in Pressbooks. In Pressbooks, the chapter is always your H1, but we also allow people to put many H1s in the document to indicate the start of new sections. We have thousands of books who've done that, but we would prefer that they not. We'd prefer that they do H2s, but we haven't taken away the ability to make H1s. And we also built features, like Mitch was saying, to display a two-level table of contents that only focus on H1 elements. So ideally, what we would probably do would be find a non-destructive way to shift that feature down and focus on H2s. But the challenge for us is how do we non-destructively change the heading structure of thousands of already published books in order to help people comply? And so that's a little bit of why we haven't acted yet and why we're still like, oh, but it is something that is a concern. You will not be violating WCAG 2.2 at A or AA level, but it would be better probably for everyone to have a clear heading structure where H1s were reserved and used once in a document. It would just be a better experience. So we do take that seriously, and we'll try to address it when we can. Wish us luck, I guess. And I'll be patient and forgiving, as it's taken us a while to get to it.
Well, I'm always saying this. Pressbooks is my favorite vendor to work with because you are so responsive. And if anybody can solve that problem, I have no doubt it'll be y'all. I haven't shared lately any big successes from our area because I have spent the last year working on a task force trying to fight First Day Complete, Barnes and Noble's equitable access program. So our OER efforts were kind of stalled for a minute because nobody was sure what was going to happen here with regard to our bookstore and whatnot. I think we have, I think we won, and I think we won't be implementing a $30 per credit hour flat fee et cetera, et cetera. So I'm super happy about that. We're at the point now where I'm getting 1 or 2 inquiries every few weeks from faculty who are interested in starting work in Pressbooks. So I'm happy we're gonna start to do some things again. And not that we haven't been doing things, we just haven't been starting anything new. And then somebody earlier was talking about the workshops or whatever. And we found at TCC, we have faculty who want to do this work and they're excited about doing it. But when it comes to prioritizing it, they have this that their department chair is expecting, and they have this that their students are expecting, and they have this and that. And so work on their OER just kind of falls by the wayside. We all know how that is. If you don't have a firm deadline on something, it usually gets sacrificed for other things. And so we created a series of a workshop series, essentially, that basically we used some funding that we had for professional development, and we basically just paid them to be there. And while they were there for the 4-hour session, that was what they were working on, was their Pressbooks. And so we basically made it a priority for them because they wouldn't get the stipend at the end if they didn't come to, I think we had 5 sessions and they had to come to at least 4 out of 5 in order to get that funding. And so it incentivized that, spending that time. And I think that's the best way to get work done. And then I just found out this morning that because we're an institutional instance on a consortial network, and I just found out that our network is planning to buy the accessibility stuff. So I'm super happy because that was a decision that I was gonna not really be able to make since it wasn't coming from our institution. So that's my happy today.
Thank you, Tammy.
Well, your happy today makes us happy today. So that's great news.
Caitlin, anything at Muhlenberg that you wanted to share? I know we have, and I don't want to pick on you specifically, but I do. Or Alyssa, now that you're new, welcome to this. And maybe this is your first time. Hi from Missouri. Oh, great. Glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Hope that you feel welcome.
Oh, that's great news, Lauren. About the tenure and promotion guidelines. Nice.
Amanda, you worked on this a little bit with the doer stuff.
I did.
You want to
I know I was
say?
gonna say we've been using your doers matrix.
Oh, great.
So thank you. It's been
Yeah,
really
that's
helpful.
oh
Yeah.
good. Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear that because it's always when you work on something, you're wondering if people actually use it. So thank you. And also just want to say to Caitlin, just reach out to us if you need any support going forward on Pressbooks. Also, you're welcome to use the forum as well if you have specific questions that others might be able to help you out with. But as is evidenced by a lot of folks that already said it, our support team is really awesome. So we're here to help you out. Oh, good. And Alyssa says that folks are liking the tool, the accessibility assist tool. That's great.
Oh yeah, I know you're feeling unwell, but we just heard back from one of your faculty members, which gave, I think, the most positive of the survey responses we've had yet on the accessibility assist. So I can connect with you offline and share more details, but that was fun to see. Go Oregon, go Eugene.
Okay. Well, I don't want to keep folks longer than you need. If you need to hop on to another meeting, then I'll give you a few minutes back of your life so you can take a break and a breather. Thank you very much for coming to this product update meeting. We, as always, are looking for feedback and any other updates you might want to share. And in the meantime, have a great month, and we will see you next month at the next product update meeting. Thank you, everyone.